Everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, September 25th. I'm starting, I guess, 26 minutes after the 12 o'clock point for me, which is, I guess, a little bit late, but only in the fact that I was recording more Lego City Underground, so I can't complain about that at all. Although, you know, consistent launch times. If it were really something I could do, I should do. Like, it is the number one thing they say on YouTube is be consistent about the release times. But yeah, honestly, I've been wildly inconsistent, and will probably stay that way. We need to win 2 games of any class, and we need to do a Tavern Brawl. So here's what I'm thinking. We need to do this Tavern Brawl, and then I think what I want to do is jump back in to the solo adventure of Tombs of Terror, which I did yesterday, and do an extra run on that to see if we can get all the Plague Lords done. Because my fear is, with next week happening, I won't have all of the Plague Lords defeated, and a 5th chapter won't be unlockable and playable. So that's just bad timing, because next Tuesday, which this Tuesday was week 2, and I covered it, but I didn't win again. Didn't even make it to the Plague Lord. Next Tuesday would be the 4th chapter, and I bet 5th chapter might unlock at that time also. So I need to take some extra time and try and grind this out. This solo adventure seems different than the others, where you could kind of do that whenever, or maybe the Witchwood solo adventure made you beat everybody until you could fight Hagatha, and maybe I never made any footage of that. It says it's a monstrous mirror match. Take control of a deck teaming with random zombies and spells using discounted hero power to craft your undead army. Okay. So you just brawl. Alright. That's all the setup we get, and I guess that's all the setup we need. Just immediately minimize my browser windows. Okay, on accident.
Deathstalker Rexar versus Deathstalker Rexar.
Let the hunt begin. Go.
They didn't want to obviously make a second line of dialogue. Lego City Undercover in particular is terrible about how it has such a awful amount of terribly written incidental lines of dialogue. It's just so bad. You'll be walking around the city and somebody'll say, somebody's singing about how they love potato chips. Somebody says the line just "hello," and it sounds exactly, well, not exactly like that, but it's totally just out of nowhere. It sounds like it's not recorded in the same studio as any of the other lines. It doesn't seem to involve or relate to anything. You don't interact with these random minifigs that are walking around Lego City. So I kind of wish they were just a little bit more quiet, and they were boiled down to a murmur. There's just a type thing, really quiet, and then some music playing. It would be really nice. There's like no music playing at all when you're just wandering around the world and you don't have like a radio. So if Lego City Undercover is at some level trying to be a GTA clone for kids, it's missing a major factor in a radio ability. You barely use the cars also, so I don't know what the thing you could take from that would be. Right. So this starts with the Wind Fury and adapt to Friendly Beast. So this starts with the Wind Fury and adapt to Friendly Beast. just play, I guess, bear trap. I guess that works. So yeah, I'm slowly chipping away on Lego City Undercover, trying to get all the red bricks in the open world and getting everything on the smaller islands and bridges areas, just because they're small enough that it makes sense. But I'm leaving the 10 or so major sectors mostly alone, doing things here and there, just being kind of loosey-goosey about it. But my main goal is to get the red bricks, then get the score multiplier red bricks, so I have a maximum amount of studs I'm picking up always. And after I have that maximum amount of studs, I will that's going to be 6. The problem with this ability is it always does end up giving you a 5 or 6 cost minion. It's not really useful. Let's see what this does. Oh, why are we starting with 20 health, by the way? Explain that one to me. I guess maybe they thought it would be more annoying if it was 30 health? Or maybe this is the beginning of something new with Tavern Brawls. Hey, if all Tavern Brawls going forward you start with 20 health instead of 30, that would considerably save time. That'd be nice. I'd like to see that kind of happen as an option in the game in general. 30 is just like a number they picked out of there. Balancing it down to 20 or even 15 or even 10 would not be upsetting to me. I'd much prefer to play twice as many games in the same amount of time. Give that Wind Fury. Buff that up. Buff that up. Do this. Take that. And take that. Yep. Seems like we're in a good position. Oh, this is the reason why I have 2K's Twitter feed open. This is an advertisement, but this might get claimed by 2K anyways. This is totally fair use, but I wanted to mention I guess WWE 2K 2020 put out a video of China, the ninth wonder of the world. She is a former WWF wrestler. Here she's doing her entrance thing. She looks just hideous in the 3D modeling, and the comments seem to be in line with that terribly. This is just a awful thing to promote as something you're happy with and showing off. There's more to China's story, quite a bit. As I got it, she was one of the wrestlers that when I was watching WWF was actually one of my favorites. She was wrestling mostly men in it because there was really not any female wrestlers that were actually wrestling in WWF at that time. It was mostly just people, I don't know what you would call it. It was mostly just I don't even know how you would phrase it. It was mostly just arm candy, for lack of a better term, during China's time. There really weren't any actual physical competitive wrestlers. China, it was extremely muscly and tall and actually capable of taking on the male wrestlers. Even now that there has been a major increase in female wrestlers, nobody with a more bodybuilding body structure is wrestling at the moment in WWF, as far as I know. Well, this is not gonna save me. That might save me. As I understand it, there was some kind of personal disliking by the owner of WWF, Vince McMahon, in China, that her body like freaked him out or intimidated him in some way, and he never really gave her due, even though she really should have been a much bigger deal. Like, as far as my level of liking, it was kind of Stone Cold Steve Austin, then China, then maybe The Undertaker, then maybe D-Generation X later, and I believe she was in D-Generation X, but I think almost everybody was for a brief second. But she has died. She is dead now, and she got like a kind of a bad deal. And none of the wrestlers really get good deals. They're like contract employees and get treated terribly when they really should be. They're contractors, not contract employees. So even though WWF and WWE is like one of the most successful franchises ever, the employees are not treated well while being required to do extremely dangerous and physical activity. So here's a GIF of China, and you can see, yeah, she had the long black hair and she was big and muscly, but she actually looks like a human in reality. She doesn't look like the way they depict her in the game. And yeah, it's really just a reference of the here's another video of her coming out on stage on SmackDown. She's like just not anywhere close to the way she's being depicted in the game. So the WW games, the WWE games have gotten worse and worse every year. They're, I believe, EA games. Well, I guess they're 2K games, and this is coming out only a few days, maybe a week or two after the Borderlands 3 came out, so they really didn't even need to make any kind of announcement at this time. It is surprising, I will say, that she's coming back at all, because she was kind of just like blacklisted. Like they wouldn't even mention her, as far as I could tell. I'm trying to get the chat up because I just realized I can't look at the chat and do the web peek at the same time. I need a third monitor. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be able to afford that real soon. Well, with a 2080 graphics card, it wouldn't be a problem to plug in a third monitor, but it would definitely be a problem to buy one. Let's start with a card. So that's what we want. This, and then 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 that. In all fairness, I will say China is not the most attractive female face ever, but if you are an actual bodybuilder, I imagine you can't really get that to happen, because you start just through the deadlifts and tensioning of doing muscle building. You would eventually start tensing your face up a little bit, and the wrestlers frankly aren't that pretty either, so the male wrestlers. But yeah, real questionable why they would have done such a bad job. It would have been much better if they had just taken an artistic license. It's a shame. The wrestling games should be good. Frankly, maybe not come out as often as they do, but there's kind of no reason why you shouldn't have a good wrestling game, since they've had the opportunity to be correcting and iterating on things for decades, like touching up those 3D models, having them ready to plug in. It really wouldn't be too hard to have, even if you're just making an animated face and it's not a 3D face scan. I think that's part of the problem with the WW games, is that they tried to face scan people, and then that technology is just not really worth it. But yeah, there should be 4K textures of all the wrestlers from past to present, and whatever you render those 4K masters, or maybe you do 16K masters or something huge, you render that down to whatever would actually be in the game, and you make sure that looks good. You definitely don't celebrate a hideous monstrosity, which is basically what I'm saying. Right. If I do that really doesn't do anything. Let's do this. Take that, and take that. Play that on the 6th turn, that'll kill everything. I guess there's really not too much of a story there, it's just, I was really shocked by that. And China deserves better, frankly. A lot of the old wrestlers deserve better. The storylines, I will fully admit, were dumb in the 80s and 90s for wrestling. Like, wrestling has always been dumb storylines. But you could take that history that people have nostalgia for, polish it up, maybe lie about some things, maybe conveniently forget about some things, and release a video game that tells generally the same story, but turns it up to something that's more of an epic tale and a heroic quest than a complete accurate depiction. And you can do that visually, you can do that through audio, you can do that through events and gameplay and story. Let's see. So I'm gonna do this and this, and then attack this, do this, and say take that, and take that, and that's not actually going to be useful. I'm going to do this, then my ability is going to do 1 damage to everybody, which means they all die from poison this attack. About the time that China was airing, you also had Xena Warrior Princess airing on TV. So there was two major, very strong, very tall characters on TV. Since that time, like, I've barely seen the Australian actress who played Xena be in anything else. She's on the occasional Sci-Fi Channel published in America show that developed by some other third-party production company, and the strong, actually physical strong female archetype has been left on the table. Like, it's all about being mentally strong, and that's true. Yes, you want to encourage everybody of any gender or build to be mentally strong, but there is something. There is a bigger gap now in 2019 between somebody being highlighted for being strong in like an Iron Man contest than any kind of female contest equivalent of an Iron Man contest. I haven't seen anything like that on ESPN or anything. Of course, I don't watch ESPN either, but main TV wise, perhaps that's because most men are stereotypically intimidated by taller women, strong women.
Madness.
Maybe that is the case.
Rafam has unleashed the plagues of Muldoon, and only we can stop him. Explorers to me.
So I know I need to get a victory on all of these because there's a little red line that connects to this and lights up this green part when you defeat them. So first thing we're gonna do here
we need to get to the bottom of this.
Is we need to figure out who we want to play as and who is the guy we want to buffer up. If this guy defeated one Plague Lord, we would get spells. It's probably best to play as Reno Jackson, I think. So we'll see how this works. Spells. Spell damage +2. Set combo. And defeat more bosses to unlock this. Is this the right move, or do... Interesting, they updated it so it just says leave now. Interesting. So you can't go back once you've locked into this point. We'll try this. We'll try Reno Jackson, but maybe Sir Finley would have been the better one.
Reno
I guess also we need to cover the news because, like, ideally I would like to do some more Lego recordings today.
I hate these guys.
Yeah. I suppose there really is no Arnold Schwarzenegger style character or Rambo style character too much this generation anyways. We have The Rock, yeah, which The Rock was pretty much a generation after China. I don't recall The Rock in China ever wrestling or being on wrestling at the same time. Or John Cena. Yeah, I think John Cena's even newer than that. Next spell this turn is spell damage +2. But yeah, as far as action movies, we have gotten to more skinny Tom Cruise style things, then we have Arnold Schwarzenegger type characters, and Arnold Schwarzenegger in particular was a. Ooh. Why can't I cast that a second time? Why do I have a copy of, like, what ability do I have that lets me have a copy of what I just cast? Oh, that other character said he would be a 3.4 version of whatever I cast before. So I can only really cast weapons or spells. Right. Let's see. Let's do this. That was some spells I could have used, but oh well. I don't think that there ever movie-wise was a strong bodybuilding female style character. And movie-wise, there's so few actors that actually get jobs at all. It's a weird thing anyways. Alright. This and that. I have to remember I can just win. I'm playing way too much strategy here. All I needed to do is just win. And deal damage with spell cards, kind of. Yeah, so news-wise, Skulls of Wonder, taverns you visits are upgraded after you play an odd cost card. Reduce the cost of your cards by 1. I'm gonna try this. I've never seen that. I don't know how that would upgrade things, but it'll be interesting. And I think we want these coins for combos. So we've got some news here. TechRaptor, the knitted adventure game Woven winds its way to PC and consoles this year. It'd be nice if they put things in quotes when they write something like this. This is a, I suppose, hype article for a new game. It might be something, it might be nothing. In all honesty, just kind of looking at this, it seems to be a very possibly just an asset flip kid game and nothing else. It's coming out for everything, basically. I don't find that particularly appealing either. Yoshi's Woven World, which is clearly an inspiration for a game like Woven, only had appeal because it was a Yoshi game to start with. If they hadn't tied it into...
Come closer to the fire, explorer.
Like, if they really hadn't tied it into the Yoshi and thus the Mario universe and just had a brand new IP where the art style was woven wool, that would have no appeal to me at all. And frankly, Yoshi's Woven World had very little appeal to me in the first place. It looked like it was a game trying to target extremely young children.
Taste the mana.
Spells are fun. So
What's this ability?
fun.
To cast a spell, deal 2 damage, randomly split amongst all enemies. Okay.
I've got more left in me.
The technology around the technology around how they made Yoshi's Woven World was interesting. But that's really all it was. I played out of order, so there goes my spell damage +1. Okay. So we'll do this. And there was still a card, I guess. That was probably a mistake. Yeah, it was.
So fun.
Next turn, we just cast all these spells, and if this guy's still alive, we win.
The flames like you.
We have a game on Steam, Viking Brothers 6. It seems like these strategy, resource management games, particularly the Viking Brothers series, happens relatively frequently. Seems like we get one every month or so. $5.59 discounted, English, German, Russian. There's a whole bundle of them. And if you buy the whole pack, which starts with at least 2 and makes it up to 6, you're only paying $15.86. Telling you these games are not that interesting.
Just might work.
Let's see. And we'll just play
Defend
that.
the gates.
I've got more left in me.
The PlayStation Play event happened. I don't know if I have a page to talk about it, but yeah, that happened. Is there much to say other than that? It mostly was focused around The Last of Us and highlighting The Last of Us Part 2, which I'm not surprised about, and really didn't have anything else to show or talk about or do anything with. So it would have been, in comparison, well, no, there is some stuff that the State of Play event that Sony did that is important to mention. I gathered that they desire to do more partnerships with companies like in China, other Asian countries that aren't Japan, since Sony's parent company, at least, is Japanese. And they have a special part of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or whatever the next Call of Duty game is coming out, that it will have a 1-year exclusive on the PlayStation, really screwing anybody on PC or Xbox. Sony is merging, and I don't know if this was stated at the State of Play or not, but they are merging Funimation and Aniplex and several other subsidiaries of Funimation and Aniplex, which we kind of knew about, that Sony was buying / merging Funimation because of the Kick Vic lawsuit that's going on. It'll be interesting to see if that affects that lawsuit in any way, or if the lawsuit affects the perhaps affects the merger in any way. With the merging of Aniplex and Funimation under Sony, there is a reasonable speculation to assume that Sony Interactive Entertainment's desire to censor things towards a SJW perspective might try to be applied to Funimation, and Aniplex's releases, worldwide releases. I don't know if that's an accurate or realistic belief to have, because at the end of the day, you'll find, I think, anime fans are way more against censorship than even video game fans are. Video game fans will grin and bear it and not boycott things, where anime fans come from a realm where it is much easier to pirate things, and old school anime fans had to pirate things, so they know how to do it. There is no real DRM
Crazy.
that
Just might work.
would stop pirating of a DVD anywhere as much as that you can put in always online DRM for a video game.
This one's already infected.
You cannot escape.
Let's see, I forgot that we even had the Murloc thing going on. Minions you play cost 3 less but die at the end of the turn. Costs can't be reduced below 1.
It's so crazy. It just might work.
Interesting. Let's try this. Twig of the World Tree.
It's still good.
There was seemingly, and I said this even at the E3 event 2 years ago, a heavy emphasis in the trailers for Last of Us 2, just focusing on Ellie and her female girlfriend, which I guess I don't need to say female girlfriend.
You
There's
just don't find evil, horrible curses in ancient tombs like you used to.
Dead
there's a danger of fetishizing someone being LGBTQ plus versus just acknowledging it and treating somebody normally. Like, a significant amount of characters in video games probably aren't married but do have romantic interests, or at least in some small part. The Lego video game, Lego City Undercover, you have a male character who has a small romantic interest throughout the game with the main female character who just gets kidnapped 3 different times throughout the game, and you have to rescue her. But that would have been extremely odd if that was the thing that they showed and promoted when promoting Lego City Underground, because that has nothing to do. It really has zero to do with what the game is and what is happening in general. I heavily suspect, while there may be some thematic line to this, to Ellie having her romantic relationship, it's unless this is a straight up revenge path where her romantic interest is killed in the first 5 minutes of the story, and then you spend the rest of the game seeking revenge. It doesn't feel like that would be should be a major focus.
What a rush.
But maybe that is exactly what happens. But even at that, I think revenge plots in video games don't work amazingly well. We haven't seen a lot of them in the past decade or so. So it might just be a simplistic thing. Alright. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm going to do, let's go ahead and attack here, and then I'm gonna do this, and that's gonna break its death rattle and give me 10 mana crystals, which then lets me do this, and then do that and win. It feels like what I said as far as the state of play before it happened is that they needed to get ahead and announce the PlayStation 5 coming out this Christmas season, and that would have really been a epic move for them. Since they didn't do that, and since they're announcing that Last of Us is coming out in like February, at the end of February, I believe, of 2020, you kind of know that they're not even hitting the release date that they probably wanted for the Last of Us 2 to come out, because it would have made a lot more sense for the Last of Us 2 to try to hit November of this year. Let's see. Minions have Wind Fury and Immune this turn. Destroy a minion, gain double its attack and health. This actually might work pretty well, so I'm going to take that with what I'm doing. And then I'm going to take Spell Levers. And then this is our first Bizarre Bob, which we have that VIP card. So we'll see what this means. So yeah, the state of play, had it been an E3 presentation, it would have been laughed at and considered terrible, like the last E3 presentation. So they did the right thing. They just didn't have really anything great to show.
Happy to help you in these trying times.
All right. So we have 6 instead of 2 gold pieces, and we have 8 instead of 4 people on each side of the board. That is a major improvement. We can recruit a board, choose a new starting hero power, fill a tavern with new minions, reduce the cost of your 10 starter cards by 1. Some of these abilities also I've never seen. Add it to your adventure deck with +2/+2.
Someday we'll go back to Dalaran.
Reduce the cost of a random card in your deck down to 0. Alright, let's start. We can take 1 enemy. So I think the enemy I probably want to take is
What
Kel'Thuzad.
exactly is going on in this desert?
So take that and do that. I could fill them with new minions. Add 3 copies of this to my
You know what you like.
starting deck.
I respect that.
Although I could have also taken 3 copies of that. Let's see. Reduce the cost of something
never
down
know,
to
right?
0. So now I have a 0 cost one of those, or all of those are 0. Let's see. 4 spells. Let's see if what we want to reduce down to 0. It's gotta be this, I guess. Well, that wasn't down to 0, but that was reduced. Reduce the cost of my starter cards by 1, so several of my starting cards now are 0. You're all fired. I don't want that to happen. So either discover a weapon from any class, or choose a new hero power.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
refill.
Let's try something else.
Just for fun. It's not going to really do anything. But boy, does that introduce a new ability. Notice these guys are just randomly appearing and not being drawn.
Just might work.
Alright. So do I want to lose my spell damage +2 for 0? No, I don't. So I will play this. And we'll take that. Okay. We're good. That felt like a major improvement.
Sinkholes, all right?
Like major improvement in my deck. But all I really need to do is get to the Plague Lord, and there's no great way to skip forward to challenge 8 and just do 16 damage. So it's time intensive to do this. And I feel like I'll probably have to play off screen. Maybe I'll do an hour of recording of Lego, then play for like 20 minutes of Hearthstone. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it is something that can happen. I'm just gonna re-roll all of those because I don't really need the weapon to start off with. Instead, I'll take that and that. Gamma Sutra has an article blog here. Do you need a publisher to make your game sell? Question mark. This is a blog, of course. Depends on what you mean sell, as far as I understand it. Yeah, if you don't mind getting an incredibly small amount of sales, then no, you probably don't inherently need a publisher if you've already completely developed your game and it's a final product. But if you're trying to have anything other than the smallest indie style game you've ever seen, then yes, you probably do need an indie a publisher. What does this do? Steals a card. Right.
What you got?
So I would say most game developers should have a publisher of some sort. It makes sense. I don't want to lose these guys, so I'm gonna have to lose this guy.
What a rush.
We've got a game on Steam here called The Long Drive, which looks like it's a asset flip simplistic driving game. There was already a game that was this exact same concept. It looks like you drive a car, it breaks down, and then you have to fix the car or get some other car. So they've stolen the concept, it seems. Random generated open world semi-post-apocalyptic survival car driving simulating game. Early access, $8.99. English only, discounted 25%. Yeah. That strikes me as a low effort development. There we go. So of course that game's not gonna make it to the fullest. Not a lot of games came out, frankly, and I didn't really curate the games that came out on Steam or anything. Perhaps as we approach fall, we'll see less games come out. I don't know if that's the case. It kind of feels like that never really happens regardless. There's nothing that needs to be done here, so the only thing I would do is maybe do that and just make sure I understand how this works. Yeah. Okay. I understand, so we'll move forward. I could have cast this and done some spell damage. That would have helped me unlock the new ability. So that was a mistake, but that's a tiny, insignificant mistake. Still looking for spell cards, I think, more than anything. This is the guy that kills everything on your field, so he might be a little bit of a hassle. TechRaptor has an article here. Mob Crush debuts a replay engine streaming tool with automatic action replays. This sounds interesting, but apparently it's only for its own live streaming platform in open beta. Also a picture-in-picture feature with replay engine. Okay. Picture-in-picture I can certainly do with OBS easily enough. And there is a hotkey where I could record clips, and there's probably a plugin I could do that would allow me to replay clips if I was ever mentally present enough, and that's the big if, as far as something cool happening and it being worthwhile to show a second time. There is something I think to be said about there is something to be said about having a dedicated person in charge of doing clips and running video on a video board during a live event, instead of having the person who is creating the content, the presenter, the talent, control that, or even a commentator control that. You need like a third person even. Right. Death Ray Loftus has 4 more attack. Resummon it. Interesting.
Master plan, you no stop me.
Gamer Sutra has an article here. The PlayStation cuts out the middleman and starts selling its own consoles and more online. That's an interesting thought, to say the least. But I don't think it's going to really affect anything other than maybe people that can't find a Walmart or a Target in their neighborhood, because like, even if this was a scenario where GameStop went out of business, it still doesn't really make sense that you would want to. This is the one, if there's 8 or more minions, it destroys everything. So as long as I make sure there aren't 8 minions on the field, I'll be alright. Let's see. This, and then that, and then that,
I'll get you.
and then we'll kill that. Protect the other guy. So, like, right now, PlayStation 4 consoles, VR systems, headsets, DualShock controllers, PSVR accessories, voucher codes, and PlayStation Plus subscriptions, and a dozen or so physical titles like Horizon Zero Dawn, Astro Bot, and Marvel's Spider-Man. I don't think a lot of people would want to order directly from Sony. Like, remember, Sony is the company that constantly gets DDoS'd and almost certainly will be DDoS this Christmas season again. They are also the people that lost all of people's private information, which that happens a lot, sure, but PlayStation is one of the many companies that have done that. Can I get this down? Because he's got 7 on his field. I would have 4 here. So am I gonna lose everything?
I serve the Fire Lord.
Alright, so we have to make decisions. Do I want... Can I get this down to 3? I think the answer is no. So we'll just attack the face and call it a day. Yeah, I would be much happier buying something through Walmart.com or Amazon.com or any other place that would have PlayStations potentially on sale, where I heavily suspect that buying things directly from PlayStation.com is the worst deal you'd ever get. And a lot of that would be the same if Microsoft had a big push to sell any hardware directly through their websites. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I seriously doubt we're going to get to a point where we have a post, I guess is what you would call it, like a post retail society where everything is just ordered directly from every company. That would really never happen. Well, the good thing is he casts a spell regardless of whether he's winning or not. So all I have to do is have like one thing on the field.
We are everywhere.
So I'm gonna just attack with the weapon, and then in the turn, and then we'll see this die. Moving on, Gamer Sutra has an article here. Art design deep dive, giving back colors to cryptic worlds and dead cells. They're still talking about Dead Cells. In all fairness, I would also like to be playing Dead Cells, but I don't think I own it, and it is too old to be super relevant right now.
So crazy.
So you can see
Just
how there's a focus here of certain color palettes in certain areas. A division here for the exterior versus the interior. And that's what painters would do. You'd have a certain number of colors that you start with as far as paint or appearance. And it gives kind of a visual theme to an area and a feeling to an area. If you can get somebody to subconsciously understand where they are and what kind of area they're in.
Crazy. It just might work.
This guy's just gonna repeat this. Can I squelch my own guy? No. Unfortunately, no.
You want to cast a spell? I want to cast a spell.
Can't do anything, so we're on the turn. There's, I don't think a largely easy way to animate things and know what colors you're using if you're using a pen and paper art aesthetic to it. If you're using like a Wacom tablet and you choose red, but then the amount of red is based on the pressure you're putting on the pen, then you've opened your palette up as far as how many colors are in that palette to a very large number.
So fun.
But if you are doing something like that in Photoshop, there is a way to run some kind of function to figure out what colors you used. And there probably is a plugin that to even lower the amount of colors down to specific types. Okay. 6 spell damage is what we want to do. Keep on playing. It's a real inside baseball type article here, if you're interested. Like, you really would have to be an artist of some sort to need to understand it more than on a surface basic level. That yes, there should be general color themes. We've seen a lot of people that don't understand that, where they just make their games with bright neon colors. It's all just red, green, blue at all times, and it's way too bright, and it doesn't understand contrast or brightness at all, negative space and positive space. Or you have black and white games that are just black and white, and they don't understand the reasons why you would do that and the reasons why you wouldn't do that. So I can play odd cost cards, of which I have a decent amount to reduce cards in your hand by 1. That's not that useful. Minions that cost 5s are now 5. That would only affect Kel'Thuzad and Arcane Giant. At the end of your turn, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. That really ruins the strategy of Sorcerer's Apprentice. So I'm going to take this. None of those were really great. Let's see. Meanwhile, the one thing I could really use is Archmage Anginitis. We don't have it.
Aha! A little inn. I can recruit some help here.
Yeah, if I could get 2 or 3 of those in my deck, then we potentially have a build up where we could win, even if we were defeating a Plague Lord with 300 health.
Oh, I could use a cold drink.
They call it the Lost City, but hey, you found me.
So Lich King, Fugin. Alright. Add all enemy minions to adventure the game ++1 for this turn, and okay. Let's see.
You've been in tighter scrapes, Reno.
Gain 4 mana crystals and draw 2 extra cards for the next boss only. That's useless, because the next boss at that point.
It's a tough-looking crowd. Best of luck to you.
So +1/+1 for all of these guys being added to the deck. Definitely don't want to remove all friendly minions. Reduce the cost of your 10 starter cards by 1 again, which should put a significant amount of them, I think, down to 0. Always start with a friendly minion in your hand, which, let's see. Choose a friendly minion, add 3 copies to your deck. Alright. 3 Kel'Thuzad.
Crowd 4 is practically an army.
4 spells, reduce the cost of 1 of them in this run. Alright, that's right. These are all 0 anyways, so that becomes that. Do we always need to start with this? No. So we'll just start
Friends that
with this.
explore together, stay together. Am I right?
If I was to cast this, I would lose a significant amount of cards. So I'll just start with 5 health.
Food this good out here, isn't it?
Yep. Man, you really get to do everything. I had 7 gold pieces there, and a nice hand of options. Moving on with the news, Gamma Sutra has an article. Bandai Namco is suing At Games over the Miss Pac-Man copyright infringement. I've never heard of At Games. Apparently, At Games created a version of Miss Pac-Man. It never had permission. Says they substantially deviated from what it was originally shown when they granted the company permission to use a Pac-Man game. So they gave At Games permission to make a Pac-Man game. They're now claiming At Games deviated from what they were shown to make that Pac-Man game and made a Miss Pac-Man game, and as such
and save the world.
And thus they're suing them. I don't know if this was a digital game or a toy Miss Pac-Man device. I guess for the purposes of the lawsuit it doesn't really matter, but I would be much more surprised I would suspect that they made some kind of copyright infringing Miss Pac-Man toy that would be sold as a standalone thing, and that they aren't trying to sell some kind of version of Miss Pac-Man as it is. Let's see if I do this and this. I can cast a spell, but I don't see the reason to cast a spell. Just give me more
So crazy.
spells to my hand. Do I really need to get this on the field? Not right now. What's this ability? Lifesteal, do 1 damage to all enemy minions. So
Trust in my
do that and he'll heal himself back up. We don't get a ton of copyright infringement lawsuits. It just kind of doesn't happen that often. Well, this would destroy a minion. So let's do it. 7/1/1 Locust with Rush. Okay. Gamma Sutra has another article. Chat with developers of the Jedi 2 Jedi Outcast at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is of this stream. Maybe this would be interesting, I guess. Maybe to some people. Although, probably not too many people. It wouldn't really be interesting to me because my fandom and love of the Jedi Knight series is non-existent, so knowing that. Why did that just reduce the cost of everything?
I can taste the mana.
I am confused, to say the least.
draw.
Let's go ahead and take this one out, I guess.
Draw.
Just end the turn there. Gamatsu has an article. Marissa and Alice's Trap Tower for Switch launches October 4th in Japan. This looks like a arcadey NES style eShop game. Looks also like a Toho Project themed game with the, I guess, would you call it a Victorian anime witch style? But what the actual game looks like is just a platformer of some sort with not anything super interesting there. Let's see. Battle cries and combos trigger twice.
Beneath my wings.
Interesting. And turn here. And then just using the hero ability as much as possible.
We are everywhere. Kneel before me. Your insolence has cost you.
Ideally, what I want is another spell that I could cast.
This city is ours.
Alright. So, how's this gonna break down? Kill that. Is there a reason to kill this? No, because I want that to happen twice. So, kill that. And then do this. Attack everything here. And then this should double the battle cry. Which is there a real reason to play this right now, or wait? I think there's probably a reason just to wait. Next we have a game on Steam called Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger 9. It looks like it's a fast-paced jumping, platforming, shooting game with anime-looking pixies, I guess is how I would best describe them. Looks a little bullet hellish, looks a little bit like a shooter too. So it's a weird combination, and in that weird combination it has some appeal to me. I've heard of Gunvolt Chronicles, so I want to put this on the follow list. It's apparently bundled with also a DLC thing right now for $14.99. Lots of language support, 15 achievements. Be interesting to see if there's any other Gunvolt Chronicle games on Steam. Let's see. What else did they make? They made Mighty Gunvolt Rush, Blaster Master Zero, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. This is way forward, no? Inti Crates.
Death is only the beginning.
Did they change their name?
Not for you.
Did Way Forward change their name, or maybe Inti Crates worked on a couple of games? They made Galgun VR. Several games here you can see are on the wish list already. I don't know about the Blaster Master series in particular, whether that would be something I'd ever want to play.
So crazy.
Though.
It just might work.
The idea of playing as a let's see, secret spell, this and this, and then so it gives spell damage +2 to do that, to do. Again, I don't think I need to play that right now. Attack. 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 And return.
The heavens will take you.
Techraptor has an article here. King of Dragons Past successor 6 Ages is coming to PC this October. I've never heard of King of Dragons Past or 6 Angels. So, see what this game looks like in the video. It has a kind of unique art style but it feels like it might be more of a visual text game more than anything else. Let's see. Let's go to the Steam page for 6 Ages Right Like to Win, the predecessor. Well, that's not the predecessor, that's the successor. So, it's from a new developer, and it's from a different publisher, but the different publisher also doesn't have anything.
Leave it to me to bring in
Although
the high profits.
some of this does look interesting. What is Shattered Planet? Mixed reviewed published game. And Moon Hunter is mostly positive. I'll put that on the follow list.
So crazy, it just might work.
And Shattered Isle, or the Shrouded Isle, is mostly positive. Interesting. What is this game? How did I miss these games? I may have looked at this game and just gone, it was like way too yellow. So I need to do some research then, clearly, and find, let's see, find out where this other game, King of Dragons Past, came out, and we'll see how that works. Spell damage plus 2. That's right. And then just attack. Keep on attacking. In the turn. I guess perhaps when playing solo adventure, it's important for the hero to say something annoying to remind you to play your turn. But honestly, I'd be happy to squelch him too. Add a random card from another class. Destroy all minions except for the one with the highest attack.
Feeble mind shatter.
I'm willing to do that.
Mommy needs 5 more minutes.
I'm playing a little carefully here. This guy's just getting buffed up. That clearly is the strategy of the character. And yeah, we're now over an hour and 15 minutes, and all I did was play 1, maybe 2 tavern brawls and try to play this run. So if I do make a special episode and a special run just focused on doing this, I really need to break it up and let's see, will this do enough? This does deal 2 damage to all undead minions, undamaged minions, enemy minions. Well, I guess that's better than anything. But it would have been nice to go through that. Maybe we could get him to run out of cards. Probably not.
Feeble mind.
Shotgun. TechRaptor has an article here. FIFA 20 disconnects can be fixed by disabling notifications, according to EA. So, if you're trying to play FIFA 20 and you're getting disconnects, disable notifications. That's crazy, to say the least, and ridiculous that you're having disconnects in the first place. Yeah, I don't know what to do here. Like, I play this and it gets killed, and maybe it saves me a little bit of damage to my health. But I need a strategy. I desperately need more cards, and I don't have it. So if I lose here, that would be ridiculous. After all this work to not make it to the Plague Lord, but I think that's kind of the problem, is that this is how this breaks down a lot of times, is that you just don't succeed. Like, you run into some kind of BS situation like this. Like, I need a major board clear, and I don't think I'm gonna get it. So it feels like what I'm gonna have to do, even though we had major improvements to our deck was awesome, we still couldn't get even to the next area.
We'll have to start all over again.
Do have a slightly better starter deck unlocked, but that's kind of it. Well, in a nutshell, that sucks. And it really makes it seem like I'm gonna have to go through this and play off screen quite a bit and just stop playing the Lego games, which sucks because I really did want to play the Lego games. Let's end this here. Let's do what we need to do as far as daily quests on the Asian and European accounts, and then that'll be the end of the stream. We'll get all the news done, and then off screen I'm just gonna have to grind on the Solo Adventures because I simply don't have the time and the focus clearly to play this on screen. That's gonna be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.